This video will show you how you can use Quarto to create a research report. It only covers very basic commands. There is a very comprehensive guide available on the internet and the link you're seeing above. So how do we start? We create a Quarto document, new file, Quarto document. I can give it a title, I call it demo. I can add an author name. And I can choose the format, and in this case I like to create a HTML file. I also could create a PDF or a Word file. Create, and a sample document is generated for me. It has a header and some text. I delete the text because I will use my own text later on. And let's look at the header. The header is called the YAML header, and it configures my report. Here's the title, here is the author name, here's the format HTML. I like to add a few other configuration settings. The first one is number sections. I want my sections to be numbered. I want a table of content. And the last one makes sure that all the information is stored at the end in one HTML file rather than in many different files. Let us copy and paste the text that I have prepared. Here it is. And it's only text. So you can see here a £sign signals that this is a section title. Another section title. Here, £signs signal it's a subsection title. And here we even have a subsection title. Here is the enumeration. And here is an itemization. So how do I add R code? I find the right section in the document. And here is where I want my R code. I can use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-Alt-I. That creates what is called a chunk. Inside a chunk is R code. A chunk starts with 3 tick marks. The key for the tick is above the tab sign. It's not the apostrophe, so be careful. And in curly brackets we have R, and it ends again with 3 tick marks, and here goes our R code. I load the Palma Penguins library. Palma Penguins. And I have it installed already. You probably have to install it beforehand if you want to follow along. I also need the ggplot library. And with the Palma Penguins library, I automatically get a data set that is called penguins, and I want to print the first few records. I can test my code, but I don't have to. So library Palma Penguins, library ggplot, and here are the first records from the penguin dataset. So at this point I want to create my HTML file. I do that with the render command, which is here. Just click render. I have to save my document. I call it demo. It will be saved as demo QMD, and you see the document is rendered. Here I have the document, but it is difficult to read. I strongly recommend to use this symbol here. It opens your document in a browser, and here it is. Looks already pretty nice. It has here the table of contents. Everything is numbered. A few things I don't like. Loading the Palma Penguins dataset creates a warning, and I really don't want that in my document. The same here for ggplot. Also, it says here to follow along, it is important. I might want to have this in boldface, and ggplot should be marked specially. So how can I do this? I go back to my Quarto document, and here in the code chunk, I add the following code. Warning false and message false And to distinguish it from our code, I add here a pound sign together with a vertical line, which you find above the Enter key in Shift mode. I also wanted the word important in bold, and I could put it in double stars, beginning double stars, end double stars, but I could also do it like this. Double click, hit the star symbol, mark it again, hit the star symbol again, and that indicates it will be printed in bold. ggplot I wanted in italic, so I use the single stars. And install packages is a command. I want it specially formatted, and I use the tick mark here, beginning and end. And I do the same thing here for the other command and use the tick mark. After I've done that, I want to plot the bill length and the bill depth against each other. Again, I create with Ctrl-Alt-I an R chunk, and I write my code inside this R chunk. ggplot, penguins, bill lengths, and bill depth. This code I like to hide from my users. So how can I do this? I only want the image but not the code. I use again pound and the vertical line, and I write echo equals false. I also want to calculate the mean of the bill length, and I want to provide the formulas. Here's the text, a mean, and I want an X with a bar over it. So I write \bar and then the X. And now comes double dollars. That means this creates a formula in its own paragraph. I see even a preview here. Bar X, this is the sign for fraction with the numerator and the denominator. Here comes the sum sign, and here comes xi. The average bill length for that data set is, and I could just print a number here. But I can also keep it dynamic if I want an R output inside a paragraph. I started with one tick mark, the letter R, blank, and now comes the R command. The mean of the bill length and NA should be replaced. And finally, I like to have a nice image of a penguin. I have stored that image already on my computer in my project folder, and I could type a command here. That's a little bit cumbersome, but there is a different way to do it, because you have the choice between a source editor, what I'm using here, and a visual editor. So I go to the visual editor, and I have to scroll to the right part. Here it is. Here I want my image. And now I can just say insert image. I browse and I find my image here. I open it. I can add a caption. I can add alternative text, and you should, so that a screen reader can read it for blind people. I use the same text here, and I potentially even could add a link. I don't want to do that, so I said OK. And the picture should be a little bit bigger, so I make it a little bit bigger. And that's it. I render it again. Here is my output. I again open it in a browser, and you see here the warnings are gone. This is boldface, this is italic. Code is separately formatted. Here is my image, and I forgot to put message and warning false here, so I have a warning here. I could do that later on. Here's my formula. A mean x squared is calculated And here is my penguin. So what if I want a PDF output instead of a HTML output? This is very easy. I'm already back to my QMD file. I delete format and the following lines. And as a format now, I enter PDF. I render everything. And one remark I have to make while it's rendering, this is only possible if you have TinyTech installed. And above you find a link to another video that shows you how to install TinyTech. Meanwhile, the PDF has been created. I show the PDF file in a browser. And you see here how nice it looks. You can share it with your collaborators. It has automatically numbered pages and so on and so on. One last thing I like to mention is that this is not specific to R. You can do the same with Python or another language. The only thing what you have to change in the code chunks, you have to substitute the R here with Python, and then you can add Python code. I hope this video will help you to create amazing reports. Again, at the beginning of the video, you find a link to a comprehensive guide of Quarto. Until the next video, happy analytics.